Oh, hi, Missy Bell. 5 beautiful books to read. And not because they have beautiful in the title. Not all of them do, but a couple. Here we go. First one, Hello Beautiful by Ann Napolitano. This book follows William, who grew up with parents who just did not like him or want him around. He goes to college and meets Julia Padovano. She takes him home to meet her family, and her family is everything but Williams. She has 3 sisters. They're loud, rambunctious, just totally different than what he's used to, but he falls in love with them. Even though he loves Julia's family, the darkness of his past resurfaces and he has a really hard time with his personal thoughts. Him and Julia are kind of rocky. It's about William navigating through his life. And so not only does William's past jeopardize him, it jeopardizes his relationship with Julia and the unshakable devotion that she has with her sisters. Hello Beautiful is a quiet novel, and the writing is absolutely gorgeous. And I will forever leave this book on my shelf because it is just, and I'm hoping to read it again one day. I have so many books to get through, but definitely will read again. A Day Like This by Kelly McNeil. Let me just say, I've never read a book like this before. I'm sure there's a book that exists, but this book is absolutely beautiful and makes you really think about your life and what would happen if you chose a different path than the one that you're living. A Day Like This follows Annie Byers, who has recently lost her daughter in a car accident. It happens from like the first chapter, so it's not a spoiler. But she wakes up in the hospital and her daughter never existed. The relationship with her husband is nothing like she thought it was. Could be time travel. I don't know. But it's absolutely gorgeous and unique. And it really makes you think about the what ifs in life. So not only is the subject matter really intriguing, but it is just, it keeps you hooked. It kept me hooked. So if you've read it, I would love to know if you thought the same. Only the Beautiful by Suzanne Meisner. This book will also forever remain on my bookshelf, and I hope to read it again one day. I actually read it on my Kindle over Thanksgiving a couple years ago, and I loved it so much that I found a physical copy of it, which for some reason was a little hard to do, but it might be more available on Amazon now or whatever. I don't know. But anyway, so this book is dual POV around 1938, 1942-ish. The 2 characters it follows is Roseanne, who lost her parents in an accident, so she moves in with the Calverts. Eventually, she gets kicked out of the Calverts, but while she is living with the Calverts, she writes to Mr. Calvert's sister, Helen, who is living in Austria, nannying for a family who ends up being heavily affected by Hitler's reign. And so Helen comes back home, finds that Rosanna is no longer at the Calverts. And so on her journey to find out what happened to her, she ends up discovering a eugenics program and all the horrific things that are happening to children who have been born with disabilities, what she's trying to do to save these children, and it is just an absolutely gorgeous book. I don't know if I'm explaining it well. It's been a couple years since I've read it, but it is one of my favorite books of all time. I don't know why it doesn't get more raving reviews than it does. I know the reviews are high, but I feel like the readership isn't as high as it should be. Everybody should read this book. It's such an important topic, and if you have read it, I would love to know what you thought. The next book that surprised me that I absolutely loved was Wayward by Amelia Hart. This book was a little different at the time than what I would typically read, but again, beautifully written, 5 stars. Follows 3 women, Altha in 1619, Violet in 1942, and Kate in 2019. They all are connected by this one cottage. They all have been abused in some type of way. There's a bit of magic. I could not stop turning the page. When you can't stop reading a book, you know it's a good one, and I could not stop. So I know that this one is pretty popular, so I'm sure a lot of you have already read it, but if you haven't, I highly recommend it. Absolutely gorgeous, and if you have read it, I'd love to know your thoughts. The next book I was going to recommend, which I don't have a physical copy right now, but is After Annie by Anna Quinlan. This story follows the family of Annie Brown after she suddenly passes away and leaves behind her husband, her children, and her best friend, and they're all trying to navigate life without her. And again, just a beautifully written book. very heartfelt. And as a mother, it opened my eyes to, if I were to pass away suddenly, how my family would navigate the world and what am I leaving behind. I don't know, getting kind of dark and dreary. I don't really want to go there because I don't like to think about it. Nobody wants to leave their family and their children behind. But anyway, if you haven't read it, another one I think you should definitely add to your list. And I wasn't gonna add this one. I know I just posted a video about it, but since I just finished it and it's fresh, I'm adding it to the list. The Days I Loved You Most by Amy Neff. This book, like I said before, made me ugly cry, and I'll just forever also keep this book on my shelf, and I would really like to reread it. So one of those books where you could just kind of wish you didn't read it so that you could read it again. So yeah, it's a must read. Again, if you've read any of those books, I'd love to know what you thought. If you love my sweater, I actually have a store called the Cozy Couch Boutique. Bookish apparel, used books, go check it out. And also I'm going to be leaving a written review of The Days I Loved You Most on my Substack, which is The Aspiring Life. And that's about my writing journey and interviews with authors, agents, and aspiring authors like myself. So real quick, I just wanted to say thank you to the channel Life on Books. There was a video that was posted about starting your book channel. I didn't start this channel for a long time because actually last year when I went to sit down to start it, my dad had passed away. And so I put it off for the whole year, and then I came across that video. And it was basically, it seems like the booktube or book world is saturated, but go ahead and start the channel because everybody needs, to hear about the books that you're reading and recommendations. And we just need more books in our lives, especially with all the craziness that the world is going on. It's a place where we can just kind of connect. Everyone loves hearing about new books and wanting book recommendations if you love to read. Thank you to Life on Books for giving me the courage to start this. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, I hope you're having a beautiful day. Catch you guys later. Bye-bye.